Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, we are discussing the April Buddy Read title, The Book of Cold Cases, written by Simone St. James. Stay tuned. Today's episode is sponsored in part by Amazon Music. Check it out. It has 70 million songs, thousands of playlists. You can listen without commercials. Sign up today and get your first month for free using the Shelf Addiction link. Go to getamazonmusic.com/shelf addiction and sign up today. Again, the code is Shelf Addiction. The link is also in the show notes. Hey everyone, I am your host, Tamara Ford, and thank you for downloading this month's Buddy Read discussion featured here on the Shelf Addiction podcast. If you're new here, every week we get bookish with book discussions, book reviews, shelf bites, and more. If you're wondering what is a Buddy Read, this is a feature where Classy and I select a thriller or mystery title that we both are interested in. Then we have a candid conversation about that book or audiobook. We even discuss it in our Facebook group, Shelf Addiction Official, during a live chat. So grab a glass of wine, a cocktail, a cup of tea or coffee, whatever your drink of choice is, and settle in for this fun discussion. As always with book chats, there is a spoiler alert in effect, so you've been warned. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with your book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. That will really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing it. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including this podcast after show. If you'd like to support the show in other ways, please consider doing that by supporting our sponsors. By supporting them, you are supporting us. Check out all of the sponsors at shelfaddiction.com/sponsors. If you've read the book or listened to the audiobook and would like to weigh in on this conversation, be sure to join the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official. I hope to hear your thoughts on this discussion. Links for everything I've mentioned are in the show notes, so let's get going. We've got a lot to cover today, so we are going to jump right on in. Joining me is the Buddy Read feature co-host, Classy Green from the Bookish Virtual Assistant. Welcome back, Classy.
Hey, Tamara, how are you?
I'm great. How
for
are
this
you?
this month of April?
I know.
Yes,
April.
I know.
April and cold. How dare it?
I know, us Midwesterners, man. Yeah, but yeah, it's April. I cannot believe that we're here already.
I know. It's sad. The time is just gone. It's gone like that.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are going to jump into this. But before we do, if you're interested in today's after show, head on over to Patreon and watch it. It's available right now. We talk about all kind of fun stuff. So you can check out our backlog of after shows and all that jazz. So come on over to Patreon. Today, we are discussing the book of Cold Cases, written by Simone St. James, narrated by Brittany Presley, Kristen Potter, and Robert Petkoff. First published March 15th, 2022 by Berkeley and Penguin Audio, respectively. It comes in at 352 pages in hardcover, and the unabridged audio comes in at 10 hours and 44 minutes. So now that we have the stats, Classy, would you kindly share the synopsis?
Yes, I will. In 1977, Claire Lake, Oregon, was shaken by the Lady Killer murders. Two men, seemingly randomly, were murdered with the same gun, with strange notes left behind. Beth Greer was the perfect suspect, a rich, eccentric 23-year-old woman seen fleeing one of the crimes, but she was acquitted and she retreated to the isolation of her mansion. Oregon, 2017. Shay Collins is a receptionist, but by night she runs a true crime website, The Book of Cold Cases, a passion fueled by the attempted abduction she escaped as a child. When she meets Beth by chance, Shay asks her for an interview. To Shay's surprise, Beth says yes. They meet regularly at Beth's mansion, though Shay is never comfortable there. Items move when she's not looking, and she could swear she's seen a girl outside of the window. The allure of learning the truth about the case from the smart, charming Beth is too much to resist. But even as they grow closer, Shay senses something isn't right. Is she making friends with a manipulative murderer, or are there other dangers lurking in the darkness of the Greer house? That is the synopsis read from Goodreads.
All right. So, yeah, two things can be true with this book. Two things can be true at once. So, okay. So, high level, I gotta say, I like the premise of it. I really did. I thought it was interesting. It sounded interesting. I like the idea of like someone who's into crime blogging. I don't read crime blogs, but I do like true crime podcasts.
Yes.
And I love that Shay, off and on through this book, she's either listening to an audiobook or listening to a true crime podcast. I said, I can relate to that. I'm listening to an audiobook or a podcast and sometimes a true crime podcast. So I'm like, yeah, I got that vibe and I liked it. I liked the setting. There were a lot of things or some things that I did like and some things that I thought were okay and some things that I was like, that fell a little flat for me. So high level, what did you think, Classy?
I did like her desire to start her true crime website, which was fueled by her abduction as a child, which I get. I did find that interesting because I believe like my interest in mystery and thriller books was heightened once I had someone in my family who was murdered and trying, I didn't solve the mystery, but those type of things. So I did get that. And I did like that. I did like the setting. It was dark. It was gloomy, great setting. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of moments for me that I fell flat, as you said. It took me a while to finish the book, because I grew bored with it. It got to the point where I read the book and I was like, oh yeah, I have a book to finish for podcasts.
Better finish it.
Because, usually I'm listening to, and I was listening to another book and I'm like, how something is wrong? Like I should be doing something else, but I'm just sitting here listening to my other book. And I was like, oh yeah, you have so many hours left. Oh. So that just kind of showed me that the struggle was real. It was nothing in the book that really kept my interest. Even though we really hadn't solved the mystery, I didn't care. I'm sorry. Yeah, I really didn't care.
Yeah, I totally am with you on the procrastination to finish it because, I had started it before I went away for the weekend. And I'm like, okay, so I guess I can listen to it on the plane. I can listen to it while I'm in the airport. And then all of a sudden, I just found other things to do. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, well, I want to start this other book. But I said, no, don't you do it. No, I slapped my own hand, right?
You were good.
I said no. And then there was another book that's taking me a long time to get through too. But I was like, maybe I could just listen to that for a little while. And I said, no. So...
Get back to that other book.
Back to it. So I came back to it yesterday and I waited until I had about 40 minutes left and I saved that for today. I just wanted to...
Oh my God.
Did you do the same?
Yeah, I was down to 30. And then I had to remember, oh shit, you got 30 minutes to do. So I did that. And that seemed like it took forever. Oh my God. See, we are getting to be, I've said this before, that we are getting to be like two old roommates.
I know.
Man, yeah. I had 30 minutes left today.
Yeah. I figured I better have something left to help me remember the story.
Well, and those last 45 minutes were not memorable.
No, I thought like I might forget things. So maybe this would help me. And now sitting here, I'm like, I had to like really think about how it ended just now.
Yeah.
Which isn't good. It was just... Now, which is ironic because, like, honestly, that's what I liked. The thing that I like about this book is also what I liked about the Sundown Motel. Mm-hmm. Like, I liked the supernatural aspects. I like the ghost. I like, because that's how it was in the, Sundown Motel as well. They had ghosts and things going on.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, but it just didn't hit quite.
These ghosts this ghost was boring.
Yeah, she was very, well, there were two ghosts in the house technically. So
yeah, I was a little confused with that too. Like, is it or isn't it?
It's two, because even at the end, there were two lights that come on in the refurbished house, that go moving around in the upstairs window. So I feel like one ghost is whatever Beth's sister's name is. I can't even remember right now. Lily, thank you. Mm-hmm. And the other ghost is her mother, Beth's mother.
And see, I thought the other ghost was Beth after she died.
Oh, I didn't even think that.
Because this time, because the house had been bought by someone new. Mm-hmm. So I assumed that now it's Lily and Beth roaming the house. Because even though she killed her sister, Beth killed Lily, she still kind of talked to her, as if, I know you killed me. Oh, well. So I was thinking, here they are together again as the two little girls they were during Christmas time and all this. And now they're haunting the house.
Well, maybe it's three ghosts then, because remember, Shay saw the mother ghost. She, her mother's, the ghost is in this.
That's right, because she was blonde.
Yeah, she's in this repetitive state of reenacting that night she died.
That's right.
She runs out the door yelling after Lily, "Oh, you're my favorite," whatever she said.
That's right.
And then, Shay was yelling, "Don't go out there,"
Mm-hmm.
So we know that those two ghosts are there, and maybe Beth
you're right. You're right. I forgot about that. And when you were talking, it did refresh my memory that it is the mom, because at one time Shay said, "Is that Lily?" And but she described Lily as being blonde and blah blah blah, and the mother was a blonde, where Beth was a redhead.
Yes.
So, and why do authors love having redheads in their book? There's always a redhead. And she's usually the bad one. I know. I think it's just that stereotypical redheads are bad, so they have to have them in there. But yeah, it wasn't a memorable the ghost, and maybe because they weren't haunting as much as the ghost was in Sundown Motel. Mm-hmm. But the paranormal part kind of fell flat. I was interested, when she first met Beth and all the cabinets opened and blah, blah, blah. But there was a lull between that, which was at the beginning of the story, before the ghost showed up again. So I had kind of forgot about the damn ghost, because she was like, maybe it's telekinesis, maybe she thought Beth was doing this, but she never came back to that plot point, or I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, the plot point, but she never came back to that part of the story of why the fuck was all those, was it a ghost? What was that? We never came back to that.
She never asked Beth. She never confronted her, because that scene, if I remember correctly, after she left, she went home to listen to the interview that she
did. The recording, right.
And then it ended up being deleted off her phone. And I'm like, well.
Right. And it wasn't brought up again.
No.
For a long period.
Yeah.
So as a reader, I'm just so was it significant? Was it not? And then all of a sudden you bring it back up, and it's I was no longer interested. And for you to bring it back up, you need, for you to put that much of a lull in between the story, drum up my interest again, make it interesting. And I can't even remember when it came back up again.
I think, now, if I remember correctly, after that incident, she was kind of ignoring her, and Beth caught her off guard at work. So and said, it was close to lunchtime, and she just went up there and showed up at her job. And then they went out and talked, and then she kind of agreed. Because after that, she was spooked. Right. But after that, she came back to the house. And it was a while, I think, before things started happening again. But
yeah,
there's no way I'm coming to your house and I think you possibly are a murderer. And I'm in your kitchen getting you something to drink.
Yeah.
And all these things start happening after I leave the restroom. The water cuts back on. All these crazy things. There's no way I'm not going to confront her. I'm going to be like, look, you brought me to your crazy ghost house. What is going on in here? I would confront her right then.
Right. Because she said that, the sink had blood in it.
Yeah.
All the cabinets blew open. And I mean, I really did like the beginning of the story. The middle was kind of like, and I, as I was reading this story, you made a comment during one of our book club sessions last month for Ace of Spades. And you said, even though Ace of Spades was slow in the beginning, the end of the book made up for that slow beginning. Mm-hmm. And this, I didn't feel that because I was like, okay. And that's what I was waiting for. I'm like, okay, so we went through all this. Maybe it's going to have a banger of an ending where I could be like, see, I never even saw that.
No.
Felt nothing like that.
No.
Nothing. I was just like, la, 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 la.
It wasn't a real mystery. Like, everything was laid out for us. So it was like, there weren't really any plot twists. I mean, the whole time, not the whole time. I want to say after the point where I think Shay talked to like the cop that worked that beat, he was the one that was like in court trying to sway them and stuff. Mm-hmm. After she talked to him, I was like, well, clearly she covered for somebody. And then as soon as we found out she had a sister, I'm like, it was a sister.
Yeah.
It was her.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
No confusion.
I was instantly like, okay, that's it. Story's over.
That's it. Case closed. But I guess the intended twist was supposed to be us finding out that Beth killed Lily. She killed her sister. But that wasn't entirely surprising to me either. No. Because Lily was like this little psychopath. Like,
yeah. I mean, she threatened her on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. I mean, here she clearly killed her father. Mm-hmm. And she was kind of unsure about mom, but she left it up in the air, and she put you in danger, which made you feel like I could be next. So it's either you or me, bitch.
And I mean,
and guess what?
She was scared of her from a young age, because I think like there was one time her mom was passed out from drinking too much. Mm-hmm. And, they were kind of standing over the mother, and Lily's like touching the mother's hair or her face or something. And Beth is like thinking in her head, get away from my mother, crazy bitch, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you psycho, don't touch my mother. That's what
right.
she wanted to
Even
tell
though it's
her.
your mother, but she could see the craziness in her.
Yeah, she's like, what is she going to do?
Yeah, but she was afraid of her. So yeah, I did, like you said, it was not a mystery, or it was not surprising that she killed her, because here she found out in the end that I'm giving you money. Dad's giving you money. Yep. You killed dad. You threatened the lawyer. So even the lawyer was afraid. He was like, I'm up there making sure my kids are safe, because she's so crazy. She would probably attack my family just to get to me. So it
called her bluff, though. She left him alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but no, there wasn't any big plot twist. It was laid out for us. But even if we saw, all the things coming, such as Beth being the killer of her sister, there was no suspense. There was nothing that kept, even if you're going to make it suspenseful or thriller, none of it. And I'm not even sure, did they market this as?
Okay, so I think so let's see. It's mostly tagged as mystery than thriller. Mm-hmm. It does not say it's like, it's not compared to anything else. They just really advertise Sundown Motel, best-selling author of Sundown Motel. But I think where she went wrong with this book was the ghost similarities to Sundown Motel, like using the ghost as a plot device, kind of fell flat in this way, because in the other book, the actual people that died Well, okay, so in that book, it was like a disassociation between the ghost and the current person doing the investigating. In this
Mm-hmm.
book, it just seemed like Beth was just a part of that and she was still alive. Now, if Beth was dead, maybe it would have felt different. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but it
Yeah.
just wasn't as compelling as it was in the other book. She used like that same idea of telling a story through the ghost, but it didn't come out the right way.
Right. Because I think in Sundown Motel, like one of the employees that we thought was actually alive was actually a ghost. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here, that paranormal ghostly thing is, that was definitely a plot twist. All this time we're thinking, and I'm just, don't quote me, we'll say the manager who Tamara was talking to, I'm just using your name, the whole time was not really a manager, but was a ghost.
Yeah.
And this person could see ghost. So yeah, this one, like you said, Beth is talking, not Beth, but Shay is talking to a person. Yeah.
So
even
Beth
explaining it is weird.
The story all
Right.
the way up into the point where Lily decides to tell Beth her side of the story. I'm not Beth, but tell Shay her side of the story. By freaking like haunting her, pushing her off the cliff, almost killing her. Like that part was kind of wild. I'm like, what? A ghost is gonna kill you? Like that's what we're doing? Oh my god.
Yeah, that I thought that was really like wonky.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. And it wasn't actually clear how she got outside and into the water. She just kind of described her as being like pulled, like Lily said, come with me or something. And then all of a sudden she's in the water.
Like so she transported, right? It's like she transported to another dimension, but she was actually into the,
Maybe she was just sleepwalking or, like when you're being maybe possessed. I don't know. Like, how do you not remember walking out of a house and all the way to the cliff? It's not like the cliff was right outside the house. It was like a long yard.
Yeah.
With a cliff.
It was a nice little clip. Right. Because I mean, even if you look in I'm trying to think like with the car, that's probably I'm looking at the cover. That's probably the car of the man that one of the men that Lily killed. But, even with that, with the ghost device, the little boy saw Lily behind her, in the story.
Yeah.
And I'm, now I'm just like, okay, you're stretching here. You're grabbing at straws and
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I like Ghost. I like a little bit of scary, but it wasn't scary. That's my problem. Like, I felt a little creeped out with Sundown Motel, but I wasn't. There was zero creep factor here. And I think maybe another part of that could have been that Lily wasn't likable at all. She was just crazy. Lily wasn't likable. Beth wasn't likable. Hell, even Shay wasn't really likable. Like nobody, like Shay was fine. Shay was kind of bland, even though she had her own backstory, which really didn't lead to much. So her backstory was she was the possible first victim of this serial killer, but she got away.
Right.
And then he went and killed somebody else like right after her, like attacked, and killed someone right after her. And that made her have a fear of getting in cars.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that I guess, you want to give her some kind of backstory, but then the sister getting pregnant, not having, there was just too many random things. And I wish that we could have tightened up that story a little bit. Like,
yeah. Right. Because if you're going to use the ghost plot device, I need more ghost.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I was waiting on. When Beth took all the stuff to the curb, all the, her mother's things and her dad's things and drove off and went somewhere. I think she went to the store, and when she got home, Lily put all that shit back. I needed more of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna haunt. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't haunt.
Mm-hmm.
She barely haunted. In the story, we didn't see her really haunting. Even though Beth is telling this story, I'm thinking we needed more haunting, but she was haunting the house. So that meant you needed to bring Shay to the house more, or we needed to have more conversation between Lily and Beth in the house, where she was giving us a lot of the backstory, which I got. But like you said, she could have tightened that up more. But if you're gonna use a ghost plot device, baby, haunt.
Yeah. Instead, it was kind of like a side note, just like, oh yeah, and it's haunted, and it's haunted by my sister that I murdered because she was a serial killer.
Yeah. But yeah, when she said she took that stuff to the curb and it was sitting right back, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and then that happened to Shay too. She was like, why is this house exactly the same? Like, she never, Beth never answered any of her questions about that house. She's like, why do you live like this? She gives her vague answers to everything. So this particular time she's in the house, she's like, this is like crazy. So she's pulling things out of the closet, throwing them on the bed, leaves the room, grabs some more stuff out of a different room, comes back to the original room, and everything is put back.
Yes.
So it happened twice in this book. Okay, so clearly why are you surprised? You saw blood in the sink, running in the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's address that. Okay, so something's going on here. Don't just all the stuff is back and then you move on to something else. No. Let's go back to the haunting here. Let's haunt and do the mystery or whatever you're gonna do. But yeah, it was just little pieces here.
Yeah, like at the end there, it was like she wanted so badly to know the story, like what actually happened, because Beth was like piecemealing it out like a turtle at a turtle's pace and not really saying much. She was saying something without saying anything. It's like she mastered the art of not really admitting anything, but so she, I guess, was so obsessed with it. She pretty much let Lily take control of her during that time. I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. If like that happened to me, I walked in a house, this stuff happened, it would be a lot to pull me back there. And if I did go back there and I see things that I have moved go back where they were, I would have marched my butt right out of that house immediately.
Oh yeah, yep. You can have this house,
right?
Yep. You can have all this.
Like, Lily, tell me what happened. Like, basically,
what was that?
Right.
No,
girl, this is like
let me get my shit. You can have all this. You can have all this house, Lily. Bye.
Like it is like in the horror films when everyone's like, don't go in there. The one person's like, I'm going in there, and of course you die. Come on. I mean, it was very.
Yeah. For Lily to be as crazy as she was not a scary ghost. No.
She wasn't. She was just rude. I mean, what she did to Shay was kind of jarring, and to kind of see from as Shay was like the third party watching the things play out, like she almost saw someone's murder.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I forget about that.
Yeah, she did see that,
right, the killing of the first guy, I think, which is probably, I'm assuming this is probably the car. I'm assuming. I'm looking at the cover and I'm assuming, because I know some guy asked her if she needed help.
Yeah, it's like that was her lure. Like she looked like she needed help with her vehicle. I feel like that might have even been her car. Not the person who died's car. Maybe that was like Lily's car or something.
Okay. Yeah, and once he asked her, and he bent over, she shot him, and pulled off.
But why is she killing people anyway? Like, I don't quite understand why she was killing people. Just
I
because
don't
she didn't have
either.
her way, or she was
Yeah.
mad, or
I think they were trying to use that as a mental health kind of thing. Cause, remember she said, like, they never find women in clock towers. So maybe I think they were kind of saying that abandonment feeling from her, and then being in foster care, and
yeah,
because I believe it was implied that the groundskeeper may have attacked her, and that's why she killed him. I'm assuming
yeah. I
he took
mean,
advantage of her, but I'm not sure.
I don't
But
remember that. I know that I don't remember that at all about the guy attacking her. I just know that they were like, or Beth was like, "Hey, one day the groundskeeper was just gone." But I know one Christmas, she's, because Lily would come at Christmas time only, and it was this big ordeal. It was a point of contention between their parents
right,
that, Lily would come back at Christmas. But this one particular Christmas, I guess she had bruises on her and she wasn't acting the same. And that
right,
implied that something happened to her at her foster home.
right.
And
Yeah,
maybe she killed him after that because she was just angry.
yeah,
And that's who
that's
she could
true.
kill. I don't know.
Right, because I think they said after that, like her foster parents were found dead, or they moved. Yeah, and they
Something,
moved
because
on
she's
to
like,
yeah.
bad things happen to them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? What do you mean? Okay,
Yep,
crazy.
making
What
of
did
a
you do?
psycho.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break, you guys. I think this is a good time to break. We will check out these commercials. We will be right back. And while you're there, you guys click on the Amazon links, check out the book review journal. And I have a book review notebook now. So there's two kinds available to you. So check them out. They're both available on Amazon. Click the links, listen to the commercials, and come right back. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. All right, guys, we are back, and we are going to continue the discussion of the Book of Cold Cases. So we were ranting, basically, all the things that we didn't really like and why things weren't really making sense, or things weren't like hitting the way they should, basically.
Yeah.
So where should we go from here?
I'm like trying, right, because we did the rant of we did kind of mention what we did like at the beginning, but like, yeah, where do we go from here?
I can't help but wonder, though, if any of these characters were likable, would it change like my feelings on the book? Like, for example, if I felt really bad for Lily, like maybe the author should have told us actually what her problem was and what had been done to her. Maybe it would have made it feel more impactful that she's going around killing people, because we never knew exactly what her mental illness was. We never knew.
No, we just assumed that it was, she was abandoned, and she just felt like she deserved more than what she was getting.
Mm-hmm.
And usually those kind of people in stories you do have a little sympathy for, but then she just turned really cold. And we've seen stories like that before, where you have the basically like the stepchild, or the least liked is payback. And
Yeah. At first, she
so
came off as just jealous, right? Jealous that she wasn't with her mother, jealous that she was in foster care, jealous,
that she didn't get any kind of inheritance, or she deserved more and did not receive it. So yeah, I'm not really sure if that would have changed my feeling if we figured out that she had a mental illness, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, because she was really like one note. I feel like Lily was very one note. Maybe if she just had more. I mean, because even Beth was kind of one note, to be honest about it. Like way back in the day. So, as the description told us, she was accused of murdering 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
She actually went to trial. She was in jail during her trial.
Yeah, because Lily called her while she was in jail. I was like, how you doing?
And she decided to give her a hard time on a recorded line. I can't believe no one looked into that.
Yeah.
But
right.
She got off because, honestly, she didn't do it. So she got off. There wasn't enough evidence. And of course, the detective that was, I guess, friendly toward her was a hostile witness to his own people, to his own prosecution. So that didn't help.
No. But yeah, she wasn't likable. I mean, no. I'm thinking possibly if the author made her a little more likable, because she was one-dimensional, kind of dry. We didn't really. I mean, well, for one, she was an only child for the longest of parents who really didn't spend any time with her, and even that didn't make it seem like she was likable. Because usually you're like, oh, but her parents aren't there.
Yeah.
She raised herself, or she was just a lonely, but I didn't even get that kind of empathy for, I didn't have that kind of empathy for her being an only child of a drunk and a father who was, emotionally, not there for her. So I had a feeling I may have felt differently for Beth, if maybe.
Yeah, because I can't believe, I had a hard time grasping that she would not say anything about her sister just because she didn't have proof. The burden of proof is not on you, little girl. Give them someone else to look at. She had motive.
Yeah, I'm about to go to prison. I could go to prison.
Yes, I'm going to throw my crazy ass sister under the bus. Yes, I will. Because she did it.
Yep.
If nothing
I don't care
else,
what kind of childhood she.
Yeah. Even if they couldn't prove it, at least they wouldn't be looking at you because they'd have, something else to go on. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't make her willingness to not cover for her, but not tattle on her either was hard for me to swallow. And I was trying to point out, she's very cold, like her sister is. She doesn't really show emotion. When she talks to Shay doesn't know how to read her. They actually snip at each other quite a bit. They never.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a trait from both sisters, that they're both just kind of. So they were more alike than we thought.
Yeah, they were alike. I mean, and they both are killers because I would rather send her to jail than kill her.
Ooh. And what she killed her with. Good. Let me tell you, my mother is a smoker. And I remember those heavy ass. She still has it. Those heavy ass glass ashtrays.
I remember them from when my grandmother was smoking when I was really, really young.
Girl, yeah, because those things serve dual purpose, an ashtray, and it was decorative. So it's if it's clean, look, it's pretty on the table. But yeah, I'll say even triple purpose weapon, ashtray.
Yeah, exactly.
Decorative piece. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'm not sure if she made the characters likable or not. And I know we're trying to find something in here that we could possibly and I'm not even sure.
Well, okay. So to be fair, I do think that, I listened to the audiobook and so I didn't read it, but the writing itself, I don't think I had any problems with. It wasn't I wasn't understanding what I was reading. I didn't feel like the writing itself was bad or anything. I think it was actually pretty good overall. The pacing was okay. I just think it was the content. It wasn't slow to me. It was just, and I know that's totally conflicts, right?
Right.
But it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it wasn't slow. It was just boring.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't intriguing. It didn't spark any interest. Um, it was one of those where I could put it down and I'll pick it up later. I wasn't excited to find out what was happening next. It did
exactly.
not. Yeah. So yeah, the writing, there was nothing wrong with it. Her writing style was okay. The premise of it was good, but there was no excitement in between that. I think my excitement left after the first couple of chapters, and then it was just kind of like it was at a steady lull. There was no peaks and no ebb and flow. The climax, and that's the thing, it's like the climax of the story probably was right there at the beginning. And what she probably thought was a climax
wasn't a climax at all.
Yeah, it wasn't one. So I think that's probably that conflicting thing that you were saying, that no, it wasn't a slow book, but it wasn't anything that was so interesting that it pushed it forward or pushed us me as a reader. I'll just speak for myself as a reader to want to continuously listen to this because I want to know what's going to happen next. I did not have that feeling.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Didn't care about the murders. I kind of wanted to know the motive, but we never got the motive. Not really.
No.
I didn't care about any of the characters.
Right. We only knew the motive for the father being killed.
Right.
Because he, stopped giving her money and she thought, okay, that now that he's out the picture, then that means mama's going to get it. And then I'm going to, mom's going to give me money. But the other, like the two men that she killed, we had no idea.
No reason.
No.
And it was a disappointing showing to me. It was just a little disappointing after Sundown Motel.
Yeah.
And I do want to go back real quick and look at my rating. I'm going to pull it up right quick.
Of Sundown?
Because I remember enjoying it.
I gave it a 4.
I definitely don't think it was like a 5-star. No, it was a 4-star.
Yeah.
I just remember when we talked about it, I had a good time with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because she has some really good characters in there. The officer, I think she was a Black woman that was just really
that was cool.
Kick-ass. Even the main character, she was very interesting, because I think, was she the one that her family? No, she was like the niece of a missing
person.
But
she died out there. She died there. Yeah.
Yeah. And come to find out, she found her missing aunt who really, who wasn't dead, but was actually living a dual, So yeah, it was a very interesting story. And I think too, even with this story, it was too many subplots. You had the mother being an unwed mother. You had Beth and her backstory, which I'm not sure what really tied into it except for her creating a website. We had that, and then you had the love story of her, between her and her investigator, and then her sister's story. Well, some of that minutia could have gotten,
taken out.
And I kind of got the reason why she added her sister in there, kind of doing the contrast and the comparison and contrast between Beth and Lily and Shay and Esther, I think her sister's name was. I kind of got that, but some of the other little subplots could have been left out.
Side note, these names. Okay. I have yet to meet two siblings that have vastly different names. Like, for example, I'm not talking about like both have S names or anything, but like Esther is an old name. Shay is a young name.
Yep.
I've never seen you have Idas and Esthers, or you have Shays
Ednas and Esthers, right?
It's weird. It was a weird combination.
It's like the same era, right?
Right.
So, right. If you're gonna name the kids after older women or like grandmothers, you kind of stick with Yeah. Or it's a middle name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just was like, huh? Your sister's name is Esther.
Esther? Yeah. Now I did like Winston Churchill. I did like that one though. That was probably the only thing I really liked. The cat. Okay, it wasn't the only thing, but yeah, it did. That did kind of, she kind of threw that in there. But yeah, but it was just, it was a lot going on in this story that probably could have been taken out and delved into more in other areas, especially Ghost. If you're going to use it, use it.
Use it.
Scare me.
There's nothing worse than an anticlimactic ending, and that is exactly what we got. It was very okay.
Yeah. I was waiting for the banger because I was going to be like, see, man, that's what increased my rating. And it didn't.
No. And all the girl did at the end, Shay was like going around giving interviews. Like, she's the expert on this case. She gave interviews, got fired from her job, which she broke HIPAA laws and didn't get in any trouble.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And the only thing what I will say, I'll give credit. I did like Beth stalling until she could die before they figured out she killed her sister. Yeah. That I will say I did like.
She like, oh, I got an aneurysm that cannot be operated on. I'm going to die eventually. So let me just try to, tell the story with I'll tell what I can tell and let this girl figure it out.
Yep. I don't want to go to my grave with this. No. Let me just,
And then the funny thing is, after all of it, this witch gonna be like, I'm gonna sue her for defamation. And she what? Like, you told her all this stuff for her to put together, and you still call her in the middle of the night trying to shoot the shit. Like, what is happening? You are crazy.
They say her and Lily were more alike than, she wanted to admit. You guys both had some weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that aneurysm killed her in the end because she died before the book ended. While she was driving.
Yep. So I was like, oh, okay, I did like that. But it was very anticlimactic. I was really waiting, like, come on, please turn this book around, baby. Turn it around.
I know.
And I was like 30 minutes and we're still doing this.
The cat was cute though.
Yeah.
It was cute.
And again, like, and I'll use the cat as an example with the ghost part, because the cat is the one who was spooked by that voice. And I'm like, oh yeah, animals. And she still didn't go there. It's like, see, come on now. You got this great setup.
Yeah.
You got it. It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she didn't use it right. She needed her editor should have helped her a little more, develop this a little more.
And I was looking at reviews, afterwards, and one spooky story, and I'm like, because I don't like spooky and scary. I mean, I'm getting better. Yeah. I'm doing it, but I'm like, this was not spooky at all.
No, like, honestly. So I did the same thing. I looked at some of the most recent reviews and all the 5 stars. You guys, I always say be leery of the 5 stars and look at who they're coming from, because a lot of the people will say, thank you to NetGalley for letting me have this. Thank you to the publisher. So they all fucking love it. And I'm like, okay. So what I do is I go click on the 2 stars on purpose. Like, I don't click on the 1 stars, but I'm like, give me the 2 stars. Because usually those are critical feedback.
Yep.
Not I hated everything, but
no. They like, I tried
exactly what is wrong with it. Yep. And a lot of the 2 stars said a lot of the things that we said. Like, we had a lot of similar feelings.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and of course I didn't look at the 3 stars this time around, but I was really curious after all the positivity. I'm like, I want to see what the critical thinkers think about it.
Yeah. Especially after, because I wrote down the rating when we picked the book. It was 4.06, and I think it's at 4.0, which is okay. It's going to drop after. No, I doubt if it'll drop after my rating, because my one little rating is not going to drop it. I'm a part of that crew of, the outlier. Well, you probably will be too.
Yeah, I'm
From
an
I could kind of
outlier.
tell with our discussion here that, yeah.
So, what did you think about the narrators, though? How do you think they did with the material?
I think they did good. I like Brittany. I can't remember what else Brittany, her voice sounds very familiar, and I know we've probably listened to something before. I love her voice. Brittany Presley, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think the narrators did really good. I was kind of waiting, like, okay, who's going to be the male? Who's the male? Like what part? Because that's what I was waiting on too. Like, there's 3 narrators.
Yeah.
I don't see a male role, and the male author. I mean, the male narrator did the court reporting.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I enjoyed their voices.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job as well. I had no issues. I did listen, I think, at 1.5 or 1.8 or something. I listened a little fast, but that's become the norm for me.
Yeah, I did too. I think I was at 1.5 or 6.
Yeah.
I think I was at 6 because I got an Audible. I think Audible.
Interesting. So Brittany Presley, she's also narrating The Overnight Guest, which is an upcoming buddy read.
Oh, okay. And what else has she read?
And she's on the night shift.
Oh, so she did the night shift. Okay,
the night shift has 4 narrators, but she's a part of that cast.
So she was okay. So I knew her voice sounded familiar.
Yeah,
the night shift with Megan Golden, that one?
No, the Night Shift by Alex Finlay, which is
the one we're gonna do.
Yeah, next month's book.
Okay, what was I thinking? Okay, but yeah, she sounds familiar.
Looking. I don't see anything. Let me just see if I can see anything else I noticed. Now, did we read? Audible. We did read. Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier was narrated by Kristen Potter, who is one of the narrators here.
Okay, so maybe that's a voice. But I thought yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Brittany Presley, I'm not finding anything that I've previously listened to, but she's in 2 of our upcoming titles.
Okay.
And let me click on this dude because his part was so small. Let me click on him. Robert, his name doesn't seem familiar to me at all. Robert Petkoff.
Yeah. So maybe it is the Kristen Potter lady that I remember her voice. So, but yeah, I enjoyed their voices. No issues.
Yeah, I can't find anything that he's been in anything that he's narrated that I recognize. So yeah. So this should be interesting. I'm excited. I think we'll have a good time with the upcoming audiobooks because we know the narrator is pretty good. At least Brittany Presley. I think she had the main part, the biggest chunk, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So she was Beth, I believe, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think I know at the end of Audible, they let us, which was really cool. Did you do Audible?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, because they mentioned who, Brittany did Beth. And so when I was like, before we used to try and figure it out, like when there was a cast of narrators, we were like, I wonder if she did so-and-so. So yeah, this time they distinguished.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all, it's that time. We got to rate the book.
Yes.
We're going to rate the Book of Cold Cases.
I know. And it's so sad because I really wanted to like it because I really liked her first book. But I'll go first.
And you guys, I'm going to tell a little short story about this book and something that I almost did on the podcast in the after show. I'm going to tell it in the after show. A little story time.
Story time.
You'll want to hear it. So okay, Classy, you go. Let's rate the thing.
I was struggling, but after our little talk, I did bump it up 1. So I'm giving it a 3 because I was at a 2 at one point. Like,
yikes.
Yeah. Like, sorry, Simone.
Hey, to each his own.
Yeah. So, but I gave it a 3 because I was like, it was okay. It wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go recommend it to, if my girlfriend was like, I need a good mystery, but not this one.
Yeah, I am with you. Although I was at 3, I wasn't at a 2. I was at 3 originally, and I'm still at a 3.
Okay.
Like I said, I thought it was fine, my quote unquote fine. It was fine. It wasn't horrible, but it was lackluster. So just know it's going to be, I mean, honestly, a lot of the story is told in the synopsis, and it's very plain. There's no real, and we've spoiled it here anyway, if you didn't know. But
right.
So I'm thinking most people listen to us if they're not going to read it anyway, because we spoil things.
Yep.
So you're not missing anything. We'll put it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just know. Oh, she mentions it in the you mentioned it before we get started. Yes. Spoilers will be mentioned here.
Oh,
but it was very lackluster. But it wasn't horrible.
No, not at all. So we're going to talk about this in book club. So we're going to have a good time there. And usually, honestly, book club always has a bunch of different opinions than what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, like clockwork.
And they bring up some good stuff. It's like, oh, I never thought of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A different perspective,
Yep.
Which I can appreciate. So next month we are reading, I can't believe I'm saying May is next month. Lord have mercy. So the book
it is.
Right, we are reading The Night Shift by Alex Finley. If you were in the groups, you would already know this because I released them in groups of 3.
Yes.
So join us on Shelf Addiction Official on Facebook or in the Shelf Addiction Book Club group on Book Clubs with an S. The links for both are in the show notes. If you'd like to share your opinion on this, please reach out, join the groups, or message me or, mention me on Twitter or Instagram and we can chat. I'd like to talk about it. Tell me if you loved it. Tell me if you hated it. Where we
defend your rating.
Yeah, defend your rating.
Yes.
So
or as they say on TikTok, I know how you girls like to tussle.
Oh Lord. No tussling. No tussling involved.
So let us know. But tussle with your rating. Yeah, tell us.
Don't tag me on TikTok. I will not do what do they call it? A stitch. I will not do it. I will not.
How you girls like to tussle. I laugh at that one all the time.
Lord have mercy. Okay. I think we are done here. What do you think, Classy?
Absolutely.
All right. So we are going to put another one to bed, put it back on the shelf, as they say. That's my new thing. I'm going to start saying that at the end.
I like that. I like that tagline, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So
Shelf Addiction.
Yes. We're going to put this one back on the shelf, or maybe it might go in the giveaway pile. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh.
Yes. You like that? Let me know. All right, guys.
Right.
It's been a blast.
Vote.
I know,
should
right?
Do a poll.
I should. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. Y'all don't ever reply to anything. Y'all are bad at engagement. You listen and I love you for it, but y'all don't engage. It's cool. It's cool. I understand you just like to listen. It's cool. No worries.
All right.
Just keep listening.
Yes.
All right. So we are done today, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you for being here, and we will catch you next month. Well, I will catch you next month. Classy is going to be on a small hiatus. We will miss you, Classy. She'll be back in a couple of months.
I'll be reading the book, though.
Okay.
Definitely reading the books. I mean, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review, or like this episode on your favorite podcast player. It seems so simple, but it really helps me out. You can share this podcast with other book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. You can also join the Shelf Addiction Patreon family. For as little as $2 a month, you will help us produce even more awesome content for your ears. You can also consider joining the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group, where we talk all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction Podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. You can also reach us via email at info@shelfaddiction.com. Thank you for listening.